It's a little bit mixed. It's a clear day when I woke up an hour ago, but now it's become a little overcast. It's going to be mixed. It's going to be very hot. And the pattern is straightforward. It's going to be overcast and sunny during the day, very hot, and come 4 or 5 o'clock it'll cloud over and bang. The last 2 days have seen the same thing. Vicious, vicious thunder rainstorms in the late afternoon. We had a killer yesterday. I stood outside watching the, what do you call it? The thing at the top of the building with the lightning rod on the hotel. I just standing here watching it, hoping that I'm going to see a smash, And I can watch the sky tree as well. There was just lightning everywhere yesterday afternoon. People are scurrying around there under the awnings, the pouring rain, like monsoon rain, then it breaks and they think, can I get to the next awning before, Every afternoon, same pattern. This is not rainy season rain, this is summer rain. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's going to be, what are we going to do today? We'll be doing some carving. The block has really, I've been getting there. Let's take a quick peek at this. I've worked my way up the back side of the tiger around the top. This is done, so I'll be working my way down this part. We'll do that, the leg, the face. I've still got 2 weeks to go. It's July 12th. This print has to be shipped August 1st. Whatever. We'll make it. We'll make it. There's not too many colors. Go up on the roof and watch the lightning. No, thank you. No, thank you. We're actually sort of lucky here for a few reasons. Well, there's the new hotel across the street, which is 6-7 stories. We're 3/4. The building next to me is 4/5, and he has a weather vane on top, which I assume would catch any strikes here. So we're sort of in a little bit of a lower than the buildings immediately around us, but it's not something I would chance. And then, of course, the hotel, just 2 blocks down, it's 12, 13, 14 stories. So I don't know how localized that stuff is, but we're surrounded by a lot of stuff that's higher. Okay, before I can do the carving, I said, as I mentioned last week, we've got some embossing to do this morning. And before I can do that, something keen to show you. This is not a show and tell. This was dumped on my desk yesterday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, Ishikawa-san was here on Sunday, and she has done a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful batch of these Kiku prints. This is Ishikawa-san, our lady housewife professional printer. She is getting good at this, And she's so, like she's just so, well, they're sort of okay. It doesn't have exactly the same level of identity that Kubota-san's does, but neither do mine, She's done a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job. So these are turned in. We've got orders. There's people waiting for these all over the place. People waiting all over the place for these. So I will quickly check these after the stream today. There may be some chiritori from the white space here. They will go to Ome this afternoon, pack tomorrow, and they'll be on their way. So if you're one of the people waiting for these, stand by. I know you've just missed the last FedEx box, unfortunately, but whatever. Anyway, they are now on the way. I love that design. I am not the only one. Something captivating about that design. The old ukiyo-e couldn't draw faces and noses. Modern printmakers still don't know how to figure out faces and noses, but Kachita Hanko hit it on that one. Okay, before that, as I said, we've got some embossing to do. And this is how it comes to me from Kubota-san. You saw, this is not an official show and tell embossing, but this is what we get from Kubota-san. We told you about that. He sends it to me, and I keep telling him, send it, send it, collect, but he won't do that. So he's paid for the shipping. Yoshi could do faces. Of course, people could do faces, but what I mean is, Kachita Hanko, just a minute here. that's what I want. There's blocks and stuff in here. We don't need to look at those right now, obviously. I mean, they all did faces. Everybody did faces. But what I meant was, it was that transition from the ukiyo-e, totally non-realistic, tiny eyes, tiny mouth, hook nose. They made that transition to realism. And Kajita Hanko was one of the first guys that actually got the realism without being some kind of funny parody. This actually is not the good tape. What's Kubota-san done to me here today? Doesn't he know that this is happening live? The green tape has recently been supplemented. The same company makes a clear tape, which pulls off really easily as well. This is not that. This is some kind of new white translucent tape. I have never seen this one before. A world's premiere. It sort of works. Totally reusable. It's just crazy, you know. If you stick it on paper, it tears and you're done. But if you stuck it on plastic, you can totally reuse this stuff. This is Kubota-san, and he packs it with the same, look at this, these are the same size. The guy is a compulsive control freak. We love him to death. He's a compulsive control freak. Everything is straight, everything is neat, everything is balanced, everything is perfect. Before we get inside this, you can see this. This is what it means to be a totally professional printer. It's not just trying to get it lined up, it's everything you do. He must get up in the morning and his robot legs go into his pants exactly the same way. He is a compulsive control freak. And that's why the prints are so good. My God, we love him. And they all used to be like that. The people he learned from. Murata-san, Nakata-san. All the people in that workshop and the older workshops. Kubota-san is really the last one standing. There's other printers in town. We're doing okay. There's printers everywhere. Kubota-san is the last man standing with that ethic and that training. He packed it, of course, with this on top, like this. And we have Evenfall. It's from the Woodblock Pilgrimage series. And I gave him, what did I give him? I gave him 5 sheets of takenaka paper. That's 18, what's 5 times 18? 90, can I? Yeah, 90 sheets. I gave him enough paper for 90 prints. And I'll bet you we have, I don't see any corner cuts. We will have 88 or something sheets here. I don't know. I don't think we'll have 90. There's no Superman that can do everything perfect on the first sheet off the blocks, but we'll see. We'll see. This guy is just so good. Look at this. Look at this. I'm so happy to be creating these. You know, it's funny. I didn't draw this. I didn't design this. This is Jed Henry, of course. I didn't carve this. This is Chon-san, our young carver from Hong Kong. I didn't print this. This is Kubota-san. But I am so proud that I made this. The sizing wasn't really so good. Look at this. He must be complaining. He must have complaining. The sizing was a little bit too hard. Doesn't affect the front because he's a total professional, but he must have thought, oh, that bowl guy, he's got the Nikawa a little bit too hard this time. This is another one of those prints with an Easter egg inside as well, too. There's an Easter egg here, and nobody has ever found it yet. Nobody has ever found it. I'm not going to point it out here. If you go to this picture on the website, there's a high-res picture of this on the website. Take your time, look at it over the next hour or so while I'm doing this, and see if you can find the Easter egg. We have never told anybody about it, but it's there. Okay, Dave, enough talk. Let's get to work. Let's figure out the layout here. I need this. I need this. I need a baron. I have my in stack. How are we going to do this? Bingo. Okay, for those who haven't seen it, this is what we're doing today. The embossing is the last step that goes on these prints. This one says hori, carving, and it's katakana, chon, the pronunciation. Chon is the Japanese pronunciation of the name of our carver from Hong Kong. Then it says suri, printing, kubota, kenichi. And I guess Karen has pointed out our tiny Easter egg here. Don't tell anybody. You know, copyright characters and all that kind of stuff. Okay, we blow through this and then get to our carving. Gonna keep count? How many? Two. I ain't gonna count, but it's up over to you. Oh, an egg, yes. Karen said, hi. Did you know that before, Karen, or did you just find it right now? A chocolate egg for the Easter egg, okay, fair enough. I really have forgotten about those. I'm sorry about that, you know. I really have forgotten recently about the eggs. My apologies. Someone's asking, is this the original stream or a restream? I'm live, I think. Not quite so sure anymore every day when I wake up, but yeah, here I am. We are live in Asakusa, Tokyo. I don't have today's newspaper to hold up on the stream. But okay, the England-Italy game is over. Italy won on the very last of the penalty kicks. 3-2, that's today's news, right? Okay, I shouldn't really talk about this too much because it is a copyrighted character, but yes, for those of you who didn't catch it, way off in the distance, there's a cat bus there, and they're searching for the little girl who was lost in the pond, or not lost in the pond. Yeah, everybody knew England would lose 3-2 on penalties. Really, come on, that's right. You have to feel for the young boy, though, you know, the last guy up, the pressure. I mean, none of us have any idea how much pressure is involved in something like that, of course. My God, the pressure on those kids. I mean, they want it. That's their world. I get it. But pressure, my God. The chocolate eggs are not, to my knowledge, a Japanese thing. They were something my father used to do as a Yorkshireman. And I think the backstory is that it was a Yorkshireman who was a sports announcer, cricket announcer, who I understand had that little habit whenever one of his cricket stars or whatever in the game did something wonderful, this Yorkshire cricket announcer would say that, give that man a chocolate egg. My dad picked up that. It became a meme of his, you know, a catchphrase in our family life. And then decades go by, and for some reason I must have said it one day on the stream here years ago. So that meme is probably long gone in its original incantation. You see, the whole country's angry about it. Really? I would be surprised to hear that. You know, it sounds like they had a fabulous tournament. So, you know, once you get to penalties, there's no blaming anybody. It could go either way, any day of the week. You know. Was I a Yorkshireman once? I think, according to the way they do these things, I am a Yorkshireman, actually. I was born in Halifax General Hospital. I don't claim the culture because I didn't grow up there, but my birthplace is actually West Riding, Yorkshire. The thing I'm using is a plastic plate. We don't use plastic plates for our normal work. The print itself has been made on wood blocks in the traditional way. But for the very last step, there's no way it's worth the time and trouble to carve something like this. So we make our embossing blocks with polymer plates. The Yoshidas used to use Ironban zinc plates. Takamizawa used to use metal plates. So for this embossing step, we're not in any way worried about hand carving this. This does just fine. Do we feel any sadness at this stage of a project? You know, well, for one thing, I didn't print this one. This is one of the ones that's been made by our staff under my direction. So for me, I'm not emotionally involved in this at all. Just here's another print. We've done a good job on it. my own carving, when I get to this later on in the stream today, when we get to my own carving on this tiger that we're doing, when I get to the end of it, there's actually no emotion whatsoever. I'll make the last couple of strokes, bang, 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 and I'll get the block upstairs to the printers where they're waiting for it, and then what's next, So there's not in any way, for me these days, there's no emotion involved in this at all. And I'm not trying to say that in a pretentious way. I'm a craftsman, not a hobbyist. Like we did in that video. Of course, there's pleasure in what we're doing, but there's no emotion in it. We were happy to ship, that's right. We just get going, get the stuff out the door, It's pleasure also, even under the stress we're under, the production stress we're under, to be able to do this still at this quality. And that's something that we're sort of, if you ask about it, we're going to be proud of. And that even under the insane schedules we're all running on now, we're still making beautiful prints, And it wouldn't, for Kubota-san, there's no cutting corners that would help him make it faster, The guy has got to put the pigment on the block onto the paper. It's going to take the same amount of time if he does it badly or if he does it properly. So it's not a question of, hey, I can cut some corners, save some time, get my money and get out of here. It's still going to take the same time. He has to go through that process. There was whatever there is, 11 embossings or something, 11 impressions. So why not do it properly? I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, Any idea of when the shop might be able to open? I haven't the slightest idea. I can't see that far into the future. Tokyo went into lockdown this morning. We are in lockdown again. I think, is this the fourth one or the fifth one? I don't remember. The bars and restaurants were open last night, and around 7 o'clock, the police car came around last night. That's it, 7 o'clock. That's it, you guys. No more booze. Bang. And they shut it down. Bang, 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 bang. And that was it. And the restaurant next door now has a sign on the door, closed for the foreseeable future. Same as my shop, closed for the foreseeable future. There was a lockdown, it ended a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and we knew as soon as it ended, the case levels would soar. They did, and the inevitable happened, another lockdown now. This is Tokyo, this is not nationwide. So no shop, no shop, no shop, no shop. The bars and restaurants are getting support, and actually they're getting unbelievable support. Unbelievable support. And this time they're getting it in advance. They basically go down to City Hall with their business license thing, put their hand out, and walk away with a stash of cash. There was lots of complaint last time that the paperwork was so big, they put their paperwork in and they didn't get their compensation money for months and months and months. This time the government just said, okay, whatever, get a shovel, out we go. This has nothing to do with me. We're not eligible because we're not forced closed as part of a lockdown. We're just closed because there's no customers. How are the vaccinations? I really don't know. I know since I got mine, I'm not following that news anymore. Talk about selfish, self-centered. Somebody can Google it. We're up to whatever. I think the last stat I saw for the older people, 65 and up, they're now up to 70%, is it, nationwide? For the medical staff, they're up to close to max. For the general populace as a whole, we're at something like 30%. I don't know the numbers. You can find them faster than I can. The problem now is not the infrastructure and staff to deliver them. The problem now has suddenly become supply. Supply was running way ahead of the ability to deliver them into the arms. That has picked up, and now the supply is the problem. Although they're still sitting on 8 million doses of AstraZeneca, which are not approved. I think they gave some to Taiwan last week. So far in Tokyo, it's only Pfizer and Moderna. They have stock of the AstraZeneca, but it's never been approved here. The Chinese ones are, of course, off the table. That's never, ever going to happen here in Japan, ever. There are a few events, but that would have been yesterday, not today. The current lockdown is when it starts July 12th, goes to August 11th? I forget, I'm sorry, August something. It's pretty much a month. Might be longer than that, might be 6 weeks, I don't remember. Somebody can find it. Okay, thanks for your patience while I get through this, guys. It really has to be done this morning, so I'm sorry. We are about, I think, I don't know if anybody's been counting or not. We are a tiny bit, maybe we are 2 sheets past halfway. I was thinking we were about halfway. When you line it up like this, the done stack is 1 or 2 sheets higher. So if anybody's counting, we are 2 sheets past halfway. I think. We'll see. What is this step we are doing here? We are doing the final embossing of the craftsman's names on the print. The print itself is finished. We have a metal plate, plastic plate, which has the names of the carver. It says Hori Chon, Suri Kubota Kenichi, carved by Chon-san, printed by Kubota. On the print you saw in the video, it was my own name. It said carving, printing, Bo David. This is the last step. We don't do this on all our prints. We do it on the ones where there's actually physically room. We can't do it on the postcard prints, etc. It's just they just get too, blotched up with there's just no room for them. But on these kind of prints, we do have a nice margin, so I like to put it in there. The kind of running gag here at Mokuhankan is it's funny. These prints are designed for us by Jed Henry. When we do the Ukiyo-e Heroes prints, we send them to Jed. He signs and puts a date on each one, and they're embossed with the craftsmen's names. These are subscription prints, and there's so much volume going through, we can't send every package over to Jed and back for signing. So we decided when we started these subscriptions back in 2013 or whatever it was with Jed, that he wouldn't get a signature on each one. These are subscription prints, casual ones. So the people getting them know they're by Jed, but his name doesn't appear on them actually. It's on the packaging. The box and the packaging and the storage all has, the prints by Jed Henry. But his name doesn't go actually on each one. Against all the collections here. Did NHK World? Yes, I used to be one of the NHK World presenters. I am no longer such a person. They've moved on to a younger demographic for their presenters, of course, absolutely. My career there is over. Do I have kanji, katakana, hiragana for my own name? Yes, I know that last video. If you look at the last step of that last video, that's my own name there in katakana. I don't use kanji for my name. I haven't created a kanji set for my name. if I ever decided to become a naturalized Japanese citizen, if I applied for citizenship and if they gave it to me, I would need to come up with some kanji for the koseki, for the name register, the family register that I would have to create. But I haven't done that, so at the moment, whenever I have to write my name in Japanese, I use the katakana pronunciation. Hanko, of course, I've got all kinds of hankos, of course. I've got the hanko we use for the daily bank, my hanko that I use for the registered hanko that I had when I purchased my house for deeds and opening bank accounts and stuff like that, starting up a corporation. For me, I've got 3 hanko in use myself, and then the company has the official seal, the bank seal, a casual seal. The company has 3 of them. They are still required, you know. There's this move to reduce hanko use, but it still is part of the legal structure here in Japan. So, would I consider becoming a citizen at this stage of my life? No, not at all. No. I'm a resident alien. I've been here now for came in 1986, right? So I've been here for 35 years. I have permanent residence. I have 99% the same rights and responsibilities as a Japanese citizen, with a few exceptions. I can't vote. I can't hold public office. And there are certain professions that are closed to me, either legally or culturally. I'm not really sure which. I can't become a police officer. And I think I perhaps can't become a full-time school teacher, although you can work as a part-time English teacher in school, stuff like that. I'm not sure if I could become a doctor. I don't know. There's sort of various ones that require citizenship. Nothing that's relevant to my life. I don't intend to try and become prime minister. And other than that, I have the same responsibilities. I pay the same taxes. I have the same health insurance, same pension plan if I was in it, stuff like that. But the reason I'm not going to do that is because the examples that are in front of me from the past few decades of foreigners who have done this, especially in the printmaking world, there's Clifton Carhoon. He's a generation older than me. He's gone now. He was my father's generation. He came after the war, made woodblock prints, and eventually became a Japanese citizen. And he threw away his Western clothes, got his clogs out and his traditional hakama and stuff like this, and spent the rest of his life in Kyoto there, tottering around the streets in clogs and Japanese clothing. And to me, it's whatever, it's a parody. I mean, he did what he did, it's okay, that was his shtick, I've got my shtick, we're all in this. But no thank you, no. I know you don't have to do that. I could become Japanese and just wear my normal clothes, of course, yeah, of course. But I'm not Japanese. I never will be. Every Japanese person who sees me out on the street, the first thing that comes into their mind is gaijin, gaijin. I'm always gaijin. It's branded on my forehead. Can you see it there? It says Gaijin, gaijin. So to me, to try and go for that legal piece of paper and open a family register that says I am Japanese, it's a parody, and I don't want to become a parody of myself. More than I already am. Someone's asking the details, can I work for a post office? I don't know, I'm sorry. In most jobs are normal. It's just those, there must be a list somewhere. Sure. And this guy left the engine running, so we'll turn off the outside audio for a minute here. This is the engine running driver. His buddy turns it off. Okay, we're almost done here. Another 3 or 4 minutes, or 2 or 3 minutes. For those who don't know, this is the hot towel delivery service. Maybe on their last run, maybe. We'll see how it goes. They're picking up and delivering. Maybe they're picking up. Are they going to deliver as well? I don't know. Looks like it. What do you know? Why would he do that? Been wanting to live in Japan. Sit down and pick my brain for an hour. Well, if you're talking to the wrong guy, I don't do those things. But actually funny, last night before I went to bed, I was browsing YouTube and I came across a video. I can't remember the guy's name. It's one of these Brits living in Japan who has got a huge YouTube channel. He's got like 3 million subscribers. He blows us totally, completely, absolutely, completely out of the water. He's got a YouTube channel that shows, stuff about living in Japan. I think there's probably a lot of people doing this. But he put one up the other day about if you're thinking about coming to Japan, what you maybe should not do. I think here it is. It's called Abroad in Japan, the guy's channel. I've only seen his one video, the one he put up last week. Abroad in Japan. Actually, he didn't turn it off. What's happening? Is it still running? Or it auto-throttle down, did it? Chris Broad, is it? Okay, bingo, you got it. So he's got a relatively new video up last week or yesterday or whatever. But I think it's 12 reasons why you shouldn't come to Japan. And it's not a clickbait video. It's actually a very well thought out, very well presented description of some of the downsides of living in Japan. And he's not dissing Japan. He's just saying if you are thinking about this, here's some stuff you should know. And I watched it last night. I watched all half hour of it. And pretty much everything he said jives with my experience too. He and I have the same situation. These negatives are there. They don't bother us enough that we would want to run away and go back to the place we came from. Some people may have a different opinion. So if you are thinking about the Japan experience, absolutely watch that video. He seems like a real nice guy. Okay, half a dozen copies left. Let's see. How's our count? What are we up to? So I was asking about these are the tsunome, the screen marks. They've got a bamboo screen that they form the paper over. The bamboo screen has fine horizontal bamboo and it has bones. And these are the bones that you can see. Sometimes they show on the front. Kubota-san has done a really good job of getting them killed. If you use too much pressure on it, because the paper at that point actually is thinner. The place where these lines are, it's where there's a bump on the screen. So your layer of mulberry fiber, as it sits on top of these bumps, the layer is actually thinner where the bumps are. So what you're seeing is a place where the washi is actually thinner on those places. And sometimes it's really, really, really intrusive. Sometimes it's less so. Iwano-san's paper is fairly good quality. This type of paper, we got it called takenaga, is fairly thick to start with, so it means less difference between the fat and thin places. But actually here you can see it. actually here, the paper is inconsistent. This is a thin sheet, and this is quite a thick sheet. It's from the same batch of paper, the same lot, but whatever, they are handmade, and Iwano-san is not a machine. So there's the thick one, and here's the thin one. And on the thin one, it seems to me, you can see, Kubota-san has gone bang, bang, bang. The color comes through closer to the back on the thin sheet, and the tsunome, the lines of the screen, are more vivid. On the front, can we see a difference? It looks a bit darker and more intense, does it? That's the thicker one. So it's the thinner one here, the thicker one here. And clearly, the thicker one, the pigment doesn't come through to the back as much. The thinner one, it comes right through to the back. But these are sheets of paper from the same lot. If there's too much of that variation in any given lot, the printer is just like, oh my God, because he should, of course, be adapting how much pigment goes onto the wood for each one. But if you don't know what's coming next out of the stack, you don't know how to do that. You put your pigment on the block and get it ready, then you reach for the paper. Oh shit, this is a thin one. And sometimes you would abort, put it back in and redo your pigment. Okay, there we are. We're at the end of this. Let's move on to some real work. How many did we get? That's it. We're done. How many? But the same thing for the sizing. Now, I didn't touch each sheet one by one by one. Remember, I sized these in larger pieces. But for this job, I would have needed X sheets, so I pull X sheets out of the big stack, big sheets of paper, get them ready for sizing, and I start sizing. And when I start, I feel the stack, okay, it's kind of like this. But within that stack, then, there are thinner ones. And when I'm doing the sizing, bang, 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 the thinner one comes along, and I've dipped this the same way that I've set this up. So that thinner one gets more size per little scrap of mulberry. So the sizing on the thinner ones ends up being a bit too strong. Now, ideally, under a perfect situation, Dave could look at every single sheet of paper on his sizing bench and dip his brush and adjust the dipping on the brush a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on the sheet that I'm doing right now. Whatever, if it was automated and laser measuring and stuff like that, I could do that. I've got that stack. You've seen me do the sizing to show the stack of 30 sheets. Fondle each one first, feel it, and then dip to match. I guess I should do that, could do that. Here, I didn't do that. I got my robot mode in and did it all the same. And as a result, the thinner ones got sizing a bit too much glue in there. When I first started this stack half an hour ago, I said, geez, it looks like I got the sizing too strong. Kubota-san must have complained. It wasn't that I see now that it wasn't that I screwed up the whole thing. That would have been one of the thinner sheets. And you can see the mottled pattern on the back. There is too much glue in here. And it didn't spread out perfectly before it dried. So for a printer, that can really, really, really be difficult. Kubota-san is a pro. You can't tell from the front. If a lesser competent printer was doing this, you may have seen some speckled pattern on the front. There we are. How many did we get? Jordan says 92. I don't think I put that much paper in. Takenaga, we get 18 pieces out of a sheet of Takenaga. And I think I would have sent him 5 sheets of Takenaga. So 5 times 18 is 90. Anyway, there we have it. Okay, let's do some real work. Someone's asking, couldn't we go through and sort? Yes and no. I'll be doing sizing again tomorrow for the next batch of the Great Wave prints. And I'll be pulling out 30 sheets from the stack to cut in half and make 60 for a bunch of waves. In that 30 sheets, there are going to be a range. It's going to be a bell curve. There's going to be a bunch in the middle, and then there's going to be a few that are kind of thick and a few that are kind of thin. But they're mostly going to be okay. How anal do we have to be? What do I have to do? Do I have to go through each one? You know, after you do it for a few minutes, yeah, oh, no, that's thin. You kind of stack them and just do it, bang. The printers can handle it, the sizer can handle it. It's not a robotic craft, you know. Okay, let's go. Put these aside. They will now go to Ome this afternoon by the Takibin service. I'll mail them this afternoon. They will have them tomorrow morning. Do we have enough time for carving left? Yes, it's 8:45. Oh, it's hot. How much more time do you think the blocks of the Great Wave will last? I don't know. We're going to find out next week. I have asked Yamamoto-san to send me back the blocks. We are going to do a video presentation looking at these blocks, looking at print number 1, looking at print number 1900. We're not quite at 2000 yet, but whatever. We're going to look at the blocks this week. How long are we halfway? Are we a quarter of the way? I don't know. We'll report on this in a video presentation in the next couple of weeks. Okay, here we are. To bring you up to date on this, we started at the tip of the tail many, many years ago. No, I didn't. I started on the bamboo. I think I started on the grass and bamboo. Then we started at the tip of the tail, working our way up around the foot, up the body, up the body, up the body, bit by bit by bit. Last couple of days I've come around the top. We're going to now work right here. We're going to work today up along the top here and then start working our way down here. As I said, it's August 1st shipping date for this. I think I'm going to make it. I've got a few weeks left, bit by bit by bit. There's lots of other work now that has just been thrown off my table that I'm not getting done. So be it. Excuse me a minute while I get set up here. Where are we? We're going to work right there. Also, Sue, something I meant to ask about. I can maybe toss it out to the stream here. We were talking the other day about 4K. People were saying, Dave, please do 4K, please do 4K. There's so much good content. We need better video quality, blah, 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 blah. We talked about it the other day. I myself can't see the difference, but I'm not the target audience here, so to do 4K. I got a bunch of emails, 2 or 3 emails about this. People said it's easy. Some people said it's difficult. There's all kinds of things about this. The current camera I'm using for most of the video, not for this, but for the making YouTube videos, I'm using an EOS camera. It's the one that's here in Japan. It's called the KISS. We have a number 6. It doesn't do 4K. Other than that, it does really, really nice job. We have a set of lenses for it that allow me to do a bunch of different stuff. I really didn't want to change it, but it doesn't do 4K. So I looked in the catalogs and blah, 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 blah. And it turned out that if I upgraded the camera to the version that's called the KISS 10, I don't know the US-based numbers, I'm sorry, the net will tell you. It says this one does 4K, until I read the fine print, and it turns out that it really doesn't. It's cropped, and it also doesn't do 30 FPS. It only does 24, I guess, to imitate film or something. Anyway, long story short, I need some advice on a camera that I can use my Canon lenses with, if possible, and that I can shoot good 4K. I don't need good image stabilization because we're not moving the camera, but I would like, good quality video. I checked some of them, the Sony 64 something something something, which was getting really good reviews about its 4K, but Sony's lens system is different. So I don't know. I tried to figure it out looking at comparative charts, and Sony has X different lenses and Canon has X different lenses, and I don't know. I should just be asking John here. I guess he's the guy who knows about this stuff. I don't know, whatever. So anyway, either in the chat here or just to email me later on if you've got any hints or experience or, hey, this is a really good tool to use or whatever that would maybe help me get through this this transition, which I really do not want to make, but it seems clear that I'm going to have to do this. Any advice would be appreciated. I really, really want to keep using those lenses. They are beautiful, beautiful lenses. We've got the ones that Canon put out a few years ago with the stepper motors. That's the STM thing. And my God, they're so nice and strong and beautiful and clean and sharp and blah, 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 blah. I should check, am I on camera here? Just a sec. Am I on camera just barely? This is the best part. This is the easiest part because the hairs just come straight out into nothing. All the places where the hairs bump into other stuff, it's difficult, but these just come out. Soap, 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 soap. It's like carving ukiyo-e hair. Dead easy. I'm not going to stream in 4K. We're talking about making YouTube videos. We're not in any way talking about streaming. I'm streaming at the moment in 1080, yes, 1080 at the 29.97 FPS. That's going to be our streaming from here on, as far as I know. But 4K, we're talking about for YouTube videos. And I don't think I would need 4K at 60. I can't imagine, oh my God, what file size that would be. No confusion. We're not talking about streaming. Also, too, YouTube 4K video, I'm learning after reading about this the last few days that YouTube, of course, when you upload a video, it, heavily post-processes it. But it seems that if you've done your 4K with a good fat bit rate, then YouTube swallows it and says, okay, let's do a good job with this one. But if your 4K upload has a low bit rate to start with, YouTube algorithms bastardize it. So I have been learning a little bit about this. So the main concern at the moment for me is not so much the upload and the YouTube part of it. I think I can figure that out and get the settings correct. The question for me is camera and then lights. And I can't spend $3,000 on it, you know. One of the emails that I got about this yesterday mentioned that just use an iPhone. The iPhone has really super good 4K, works in lower light, extra, etc. But I mean, I don't have one, but it seems to me what I'm missing there is the ability to use all our lenses, our zooming, our focusing. The camera shoots what it shoots, and that's that. And that gives me no flexibility at all for making the presentations. So I don't know. Is that Suga-san? Did she just come in? Oh, the camera's facing the other way. I think that was Suga-san who just came in upstairs. I'm not quite sure. some of these hairs now, you know, we've split that last one into two, and they're pretty fine, but this wood really isn't strong enough to handle that, and I may be paying for this later, you know. I've cut the hairs according to what I can see. But the wood isn't really dense enough for this, and I don't know how long this block is going to last once it goes into service. I don't know. He didn't downshift today. Is that a different driver? Did you hear it or you didn't hear it? He didn't downshift as he pulled in front of the Korean restaurant there. This is the Monday driver, I guess. Or maybe they fixed their transmission. Yeah, looking good, looking good. How are we coming? Double clutching, is that what it's called? I've never driven a manual, so I don't actually know what it is that he's doing there to make that noise we hear most days, but this should be then the last day of heavy garbage. It's Monday now, we've entered lockdown. That Korean restaurant will of course still be open because they are a takeout place. Most of their business by far is not people walking along the street, it's Uber and the other new competitors that are taking over here. So they will still be open. Yeah, looking good. More visitors. Do we have more visitors? Hello guys, whoever you are. Welcome to the channel. No, someone's asking about the camera for 4K. I cannot spend 5,000. There's no way, I'm sorry. I can't do that. So I can't, there's nowhere near our budget for this. I'm sorry. So. Is there a lot of rating today? No idea. I'm sorry. Thank you. Not sure how interesting this is for people coming from outside. If you've been watching a video game stream, action and shooting and death, and now you're all of a sudden dropped here, I don't know how interesting this is, but whatever. Hang around if you like. Thank you. The sounds you're hearing in the background are live from Tokyo. This is Asakusa, Tokyo, and we have a camera outside along with a microphone. So you're hearing the sound of Asakusa here on a Monday morning. The town is just coming to life. It's been an extremely busy weekend, and we are now in the first day of our next lockdown. Lock open, lock open, lock open. But it's not a legal lockdown in the sense that in some other countries that people should stay home. There's no legal power whatsoever. It's a request lockdown. So of course everybody ignores it as much as possible. The trains must have been jammed this morning with commuters, of course. Is that construction? Should I turn off the outside mic? Somebody's got an angle grinder running. The Olympics, as far as I know, as of yesterday's newspaper anyway, the Olympics are still apparently scheduled to do. No visitors. I mean, no. What do you call it? No spectators. Empty stadiums. And I believe now daily there's flights coming in from different countries around the world with athletes landing, heading off to their various quarantines. Coming into a city that just went into lockdown as of this morning. So, I don't know, you tell me how sensible this is. Whatever. The restaurant next door here, the one the new sake and meat restaurant, Fukuya Badu, the one that replaced the kimono shop, which replaced the shoe shop, which replaced the previous restaurant. They're closed now for the lockdown, but the last couple of days they really took advantage, or their customers took advantage of still being open. And on Saturday night, they had a party. I mean, the restaurant didn't have a party. They rented out their second floor room, and some company had, I forget the name for it. It's when people join a company in April. They retire in March, and the new faces come in April. And some company, in April, they got their intake of new staff. And they would have had the meeting and this and this and this, whatever. That was in April. And we're now 3-4 months later, it's sorted out. The people have got their jobs, they've been doing this. And now here in the middle of summer, they had the first major party to introduce these new faces, 10 or 15 or 20 people, to some more staff, whatever. I forget the name for this kind of party. It's not a Shinnenkai, it's not a Bonnenkai, it's a Naninaikai. I don't even remember, I've never been in a company. Anyway, man, oh man, it was whatever. I'm upstairs here in the second room. I'm just trying to relax in the evening, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. They're in the second floor on the building next to me, with the windows wide open because, of course, it's hot summer and it's pandemic, whatever. And the bucho, he is the, what do you call a bucho in English? He's the division manager, or he's the manager of this subgroup. He's not a vice president, he's a, let's say division manager, whatever. He's got a room of 40, 50 people, and he's the leader of that group. He's the bucho. And he was the guy with the MC, had the mic and blah, 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 blah. And he had 3 or 4 ladies who were his assistants for this. And the rest of the tables, I can't see into the room, the rest of the tables must have been these new salarymen. And it was 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 guys. And they're partying, and there's food being passed around, and they're drinking whatever and having their speeches about welcome to the company. And a couple of guys had to stand up and say, yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm looking forward to a good career here, and this and this and this and this and this. And then they got to the serious part. the Bucho, he's got these bottles of something. I have no idea what they are. It's beer or it's whiskey or it's vodka or sake or whatever. And he's got them all lined up in front of him, and the girls start taking them out to the guys one by one by one. So drink number one, the lady, I can hear, it's going to go to Yamada-kun, whatever. Yamada-kun now has to stand up, and then the whole room starts to chant, cha-cha, cha-cha, and Yamada-san has to chug this non-stop. He's got to put it to his mouth, head back, and he's not allowed to finish until it's over. Chug, 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 chug. I guess other cultures do this too, whatever. And the team is all clapping and clapping and clapping and clapping. Yamada-san makes it to the end, blah, 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 blah. Hi, and the Bucho says, okay, who's next? And they go around the whole room. And I'm next door, and it's getting rowdier and rowdier and rowdier. And I'm thinking, if I was king of this country, this would be illegal. The pressure on these kids to do this. They've already been partying and eating and drinking for a couple of hours, and now they've got to throw this stuff in their body, And I'm like, this should be illegal. But it's the, what do you call it? It's a rite of passage. They do this still. And holy crap, they do this. And this is I don't know what company it was. They didn't announce the company name. They all know what company they're working for. But my God, my God, my God. I think, Dave, if I had been parachuted into this, sent from my company office in Canada, I'm going to work in this company for a year or 2 years, whatever, and I'm in this meeting and it says, okay, Mr. Bull, your turn, stand up. I would have given him double fingers and I'd be out that door. There's no way. No way. And these kids, they want to join in. They want their career. They're salarymen. They're pledging their life to the company. They stand up and they chug this stuff, And then they've got their final speeches, and everybody staggers out the door, and probably half of them puke on the train on the way home. I don't know. Japan is a cool country. I like it, but my God, there's some native rituals here that are just an abomination. It's bonding, right? I guess it's bonding. I get it. One thing I'm curious about, I was curious how many women were in there. I couldn't tell. I can't tell. There's nothing in the name that tells you. It's Yamada-kun, Suzuki. They could have said Yamada-kun means it's a boy. If they had said Suzuki-san, maybe that could be a lady. I don't know. I didn't really think about that when I was listening to this. I wonder if there were women in that new crop, did they make them do this as well? I wonder. And this, of course, is happening in a pandemic, and there's nobody wearing masks in there. They're all just getting drunk and shouting, and this is in the middle of a freaking pandemic, whatever. I keep forgetting to check our time. Are we okay? 9:10. Good. 5 more minutes. For those of you who were here the other day, today's show and tell, starting in about 5 minutes from now, is going to be a pickup. It's not a new object that I have to show you today. We can't do a brand new blah, blah, blah every day. I showed you an Odeon, an album, the other day, and we looked through half of it, and today we'll look through the other half. So it's not a new object today, it's a little bit deeper look at the one we looked at the other day. Dave has never driven a car with a manual transmission. Dave has never owned a car. I had a driver's license from the time I was 22 to about the time I was 29. Then I let it go, and I've never owned a car. During that time I worked for the music company, and I used the company trucks and cars and whatever. I say truck, a Winnebago motorhome, and they gave me a little Pinto as my own little quote company car. I had a little Pinto for a few years, a little Pinto wagon. I've never driven anything with a manual. No, I've never driven a motorbike. Sorry, I wasn't that kind of guy in high school. Like the other people, my friends, other guys in high school were trying to get a car and trying to get their license and stuff, and I never had any interest in that. So it's funny. I've never owned a car, and John says I've never driven a manual. I'm sorry. It means I'm not a real man. I'm whatever. Things are what they are. I'm a failure in life. Sorry, never done that. Never been there. Motorcycle, no, they terrify me. I wouldn't have any interest in a motorcycle. I'm sorry, they terrify me. So. I think John here, he comes over to Japan now and then, and he heads for the rental place, and he rents like these cars that, I don't know, whatever. He tells his own stories, but John, he's here in Japan. Every night he rents one of these drifters, and he runs out the Mount Fuji Speedway and spends all night drifting. That's his idea of a good time in Japan, right? Is that how it works, John? Never had a car. I think I'm maybe the only North American boy from the 1950s and 60s who never had his own car, but whatever. There's a bunch of stuff I've never owned, I've never had a car, never had a TV. Can't say I never had a razor. I did have a razor at one point. Never been drunk, actually. I have no experience of that. I was a square man. Well, I still am. I was and am the ultimate square, shy little kid, Drugs, I mean... It's funny because like there's people who look at me as one of these like hippies, 1960s hippie countercultural blah blah blah, and I that wasn't me at all. You know? I'm telling you, that wasn't me. I was as square as they come. You know? I'm not just saying this because my mother's listening. Oh, it's show and tell time, and I'll give a few more hairs. Let me just finish this batch. A couple more hairs. It's a repeat show and tell. Anyway, give me let me just shut up for a minute. Let me just finish this. I know it's show and tell time. Just one sec. Although this is dangerous to rush this last little bit. I've been in this situation before. Just give me a second here. Okay, last hair on this batch. Got through. Yay! Okay, slightly delayed show and tell. Can we zoom in a bit? Can we see what we've done here today? So here's the last group we just did today. This is at the very top of the tiger. This is the stuff that sticks up in the air up at the top of the tiger. And it's something too, we talked about this yesterday. You can see here there's much more variation. There's shorter ones, longer ones, rougher ones, whatever. I have done fat and thin, but for a lot of it, mine are the same length, and this is not good. And this is not the final version. After we do a first test print here, I will come back and chop some of these off. I'll make them thinner, cut some shorter. I might even pop some of these out if I've got too many. We've got to make them look rougher. There's no way the tiger is going to have a crew cut with all his hair the same length. They've got to be more variation. So we'll handle that at the next stage. Oh, my mum's here. It's hopeless. Thank you. Telling stories about Dave's high school days, can I? Okay, let's get to our show and tell. We had a bit of a difficulty a few days ago. My mom's computer went down. She was having trouble with something to do with the computer, and it went down. And of course, once her computer's down, Mom and I can't talk. So there was no way for her to send me an email about it, and she couldn't call by Skype about it. So we were out of communication there for a couple of days. And my sister jumped in. My sister lives near my mother there. And she said, Dave, we need help. Mom's computer is down. And I'm like, now what do I do? So first step is I sent a package of instructions. Step 1 is plugged in. Step 2, restart. Step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. She got step 2. And a restart apparently handled it, Mom, right? Just restarting your computer, got it back to normal. And then we were on Skype, up and running. So, okay, to recap what we're looking at here, for the people who weren't here the other day, this is a Japanese book of the type that is called ori hon. Ori is folding, and hon is the word for book. So it's literally folding book. In my own descriptions and showing of these books, I haven't been calling them books. I've been calling them albums. I've saved the word book for the idea where there's a page turner, these loose sheets that go left to right, left to right. And the prints in a book are made on different blocks, left side, right side. But in these, what we're looking at is a bunch of finished prints. This one's a bit worn and folded, so it's a bit difficult to see. But the prints were made as single sheet woodblock prints. Then they were folded face in and bound together at the back. And I noticed at the end of the last stream there was lots of questions about the binding, because it looks really strange. What's going on? You turn the page and it's blank again, and it's blank again, and then you get to a blank again, and you get to the next print. Like, what is going on? There's too many in there. So it's turned, and it was blank, and then the next print. So what we're going to do is, let's do this. Let's have a look at this. I can actually pick the book up like this. The book is an accordion shape. The prints were made and glued together. How can I describe this without taking it apart? The prints are glued onto a backing sheet. The backing sheet we are seeing here is the backing sheet for the book on the back side. And between each of them is backing and backing. How can I describe this? It's, instead of being the prints straight back to back, they're usually back to back, offset by one. So the back side of this would be the back side of another print on this side. But these guys have put an extra sheet of paper in. So we have something that is just backing paper, and then we have print backed by backing paper. So it's an accordion plus half a sheet. Do you get what I'm saying? There's the print. This would normally be glued together. The glue has failed. So normally when you get the book, you sit here, that's glued together, that's glued together. You turn normally and you would see another print. But the glue has failed on these two sheets. They used only a very, very, very light wash of glue. Whatever, we'd have to draw a map. You get the idea anyway. So the point is, we did the first half. We went through. Let me pretend here that these are not failing. There was print number 1. You would then turn to print number 2 if the glue hadn't failed. You would then turn to print number 3. We looked at these the other day. You would then turn to print 4. This one, the glue hasn't failed. This one, they're still stuck. You would then turn to print 5. And it's quite a thick page, because there's like 8 sheets of paper now inside that thing. And then we go here again. This one has failed, so only one of those didn't fail. And you turn to print number 6. And this one is glued to the back, so you now close the back cover, and it looks like you're done. But you're only halfway through. This is the back cover, and you start all over again, opening the back cover, and this is now print number 7. And it does the same thing. This first one, the glue on this side, as it happens, hasn't failed. You move ahead to print number 8, and then print number 9. Look at this. On the back side, the glue is still in good condition on most of them. That tells me whatever. People mostly look to the front. So you get the idea. So it's 12 woodblock prints pasted together with a whole bunch of ancillary paper to make up the structure of an album. If they had done it just with the prints themselves, they would be too weak. There'd be nothing else in the gutter there to preserve it, and the book really would dissolve in short order. The downside of this is, let me try and skip ahead to one of these that's broken, is the backing paper they used was not good quality mulberry paper. It was crap. Absolute crap. It's full of chitty, it's full of fold marks, it's pulp. The best thing for this book, really, for long-term preservation, we've talked about this before, the best thing would be to throw this in a bath, tease it all apart, and preserve the prints separately. It's not doing too bad, but you can see, I can smell it too, there's a foxing smell in here. So I don't know, I'm doing nothing in the short term, I'm just going to take care of it. In the short term, what we could do is put some interleaving in here so that the prints aren't pressed against each other. But there we have it. That's the normal structure of a Japanese orihon book. Let's now look at some of the prints. For those of you who weren't here the other day, skipping ahead to the back page, it tells us it's not the colophon for this book, but it's an advertising page for the publisher, and it's dated Meiji 31. It doesn't have this book listed in it. And if this is dated 31, but it's pasted in, made up by the publisher, it means this thing could not be any later than 31. It could be earlier than 31, but it wouldn't be any later than 31, this particular printing. Unless, of course, this was something printed a few years ago and just glued in. I don't know. Anyway, it gives us the general era of the book. We don't know the exact date. Let's zoom in on a few of these. This crap on the side, it's a rubber stamp of a previous owner who stamped his name all over this damn thing. His name shall live in infamy forever, Saito Saikichi, and he helpfully gives us his name and address. So if you want to take a Molotov cocktail over there, you're fine by me. This one, what we're looking at, this puzzles me. The plant we're looking at is a plum. So this is the New Year picture in this album. It's not specifically dated month by month, but there are 12 scenes which give us 12 keys to the month. And this one is First Sound. I'm not sure how they would pronounce this. Shon. I'm not really quite sure. First Sound. Now in the new year, we have everything. We have Hatsumode, the first visit to the... Oh, I see. I get it. Bingo. We have a little visitor here on the plum, and she is hearing the first bird song of the year. I get it. Sorry, I should have been a bit more quick on the uptake of this. A very upscale lady. These are all... It's not a wasp's nest. This is interesting. I thought that too. No. This is... It's a face. Do you see it? It's looking outwards. It's looking out this direction. It's a wood carving, and they would normally be on a two-story building. I don't know. It's one of these things where they carve. What do they call it? In the case of the tile, they call it onigawara, an oni tile, a roof tile, and it's an ugly face which keeps away evil spirits and stuff. And this is what we are looking at here. I think. It does look like a wasp's nest, doesn't it? There would never be such a thing in a woodblock print as this. This is a high-class lady. It's all about delicacy and flower arranging and all the money you've got. There's no way they would put a wasp's nest in one of these prints. This is, I'm 99.9999999% sure. It's a scary thing. It's to scare away evil spirits. Although I think it's kind of clumsy. My best guess is it's a face here looking down this way to the street. But I'm standing by to be corrected on this. There's just no way they would put a wasp's nest in something like this. There's no way. Dave would do something like that. There's this high-class, elegant lady. She's listening to the bird song, and any second now, bzzz, but that's not how this would work. Moving right along. They're interesting. They're not bound into this album in anything like month order. This next one is the one that would fit with August or September, maybe October. This is, and they've put a rebus in here on this one. We have only one kanji visible. It's the kanji for see, miru. But there is a crescent shape here, and clearly this is supposed to be tsukimi, moon viewing, as in a moon viewing ceremony. This is the designer's name, by the way. We talked about yesterday. It's Kogyo. It's Tsukioka Kogyo, this album. And we have a lady here playing not a Japanese lute, but a Chinese lute, the one that's known as a pipa. And yes, indeed, it is moon viewing. Late summer. It could be August, September, October. Tsukimi. What would she be playing? Your guess is as good as mine. Beautifully carved, the carving. Oh my God. It's these noses. I'm not in love with this guy's depiction of feminine beauty or whatever. But there it is, beautifully made. in their garden, or maybe on the balcony, I'm not sure. In their garden, I think. What have we got here? I should have studied up these before I started. I'm going to need some help on this, people. No, I'm going to keep quiet. I don't know. Sorry. Do we have a better kanji reader here? Sorry, I can't read that one. I don't know. What are they doing? She is, this is a winter season. She's bundled up. She has the hibachi, the coals, to keep her warm. And she is cutting pieces of paper. Oh, looking at a flower, I guess. Is that a peony in winter? Maybe this is autumn. And she is clearly making paper flowers. What's the name of the craft? Is that what it's called here? I don't remember the name for making paper flowers. And these noses, wow, these noses. Look at this, look at those fingers. Ooh. Moving right along, moving right along, moving right along. Yeah, the bamboo screen is somebody saying late fall, I guess so. Is it a chrysanthemum? I thought it was a peony. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a chrysanthemum. In which case this would be late fall. Yeah, somewhere. No idea. Moving along. What have we got? 2, 3 left? How far are we along here? 3 left. What do we have here? This is, what are they doing? It's another winter one. We have another hibachi. So we are looking at cold weather. What's our title? Again, I'm going to keep quiet. The second one looks like sho, the character for drawing, as in writing or text, and she's reading something, an official little stand like musicians use, so perhaps she is chanting poetry or chanting songs. I see no musical accompaniment, so again, Dave here will just keep quiet. This is such high-class stuff. These people, I mean, everything about these prints is designed to show expensive, high-class, 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 high-class. The people that bought them, for the most part, the people that bought these books would not be people from this class. They would be people aspiring to this class. They want to know, how do you tie the kimono? How do you do this? How do you do that? How does the upper class live? This is your Meiji era version of a reality show. How the rich people live. We have something kusa. Kusa is grasses, plants, flowers. I'm not sure the left one. I should have studied up before here. Can I show the kanji on the last one for a second? I'm not sure what you mean by the last one, but if I go back, is this the one you mean? This one, sir? It's something sho. And this kanji, if this is the one you mean, it's something grass. So it's a gardening, you know. The lady is in her garden. Oh, no, there's signs here. Okay, there's something else going on here. The grasses and flowers are labeled. So this is some kind of an exhibition, like the Kensington Flower Show or something like that here in Japan. These things are labeled, so this is not her own garden. She's taken some plants from one of these flower shows and she's doing the last adjustment maybe. She's allowed to do this. She's got her clog, she's going inside. It's a flower show of some kind, I believe. It's not a backpack, it's her sash. Her obi sash is tied at the back. Has she got something in her hand? Yes, indeed. Is she tasting this? We have, it's a plant with something like this, incipient flowers. Has she picked one of them? Is there a seed, a fruit? I don't know. Is that what we've got here? Is it more fruits? Yeah, so she's been getting this thing ready. She's been tossing some flowers out. She's been doing some last trimming. That's my guess. It's a garden show, and she's doing the last bit of setup. Until somebody comes along and shows me that I'm all wrong. Let's see. Let's move along. I think that's it. Is that 11? There's one more. That's 11. This is now number 12. Here we are, the big finale of the book here. Sure what they're doing. This, I guess. Okay, I'll hazard a guess that this is December, and they're doing. I think they're doing a cleaning and an airing out. There's a bunch of cards here which would be used in the upcoming New Year. Let me think through this. If this were December, this would be an airing out, getting ready for the New Year cleaning. She's airing out a kimono, ready for use maybe in the New Year. The girl, the cards are ready. That's number one. Number two would be nothing to do with New Year. It's a general airing out. This is an October day. It's a nice breezy day, and they are just taking treasures out of their boxes and stuff to air things out in general. We have a plant here. We have an asagao. This is a morning glory. Okay. Forget the New Year stuff. I didn't say that. You didn't hear that. This is a morning glory, which tells me this is June, July. It's a summer day. So this is summer day. It's one of the dolls. Yes, it's a Hina doll in the box. So they've taken advantage of a summer day to do some general airing out. And she's wearing a fairly light under kimono. So okay, forget what I said about the New Year. I was fooled by the New Year's, the Carta game here. So it's a general airing out. I don't remember the terminology for that. I don't know. Saito hit this one as well, so whatever. Why would he put his name on so many individual prints inside an album? Here we are. And he did this same guy, he stamped it, he stamped it, he stamped it, he stamped it. I mean, give me a break, guy. Like, we get the idea, you know. Anyway, there we have it. Okay, this has gone on too long. It's a fabulous, fabulous little book, you know. They're not all perfect prints. They're not all in perfect condition. These are small too, you know. Sometimes we show you these orihon and they're like oban-sized prints, or they're like a kuchie. This is a very small little album. It's what you would call here A5 size. No, B6. It's half of a B5 sheet of paper. So these prints are like a B5 sheet of paper. Beautifully detailed, a real little treasure. I don't remember how much it cost me. I got it about 20, 25 years ago, back when I had revenue at the end of the Poets series. I must have picked it up one day in the used bookshops in Jimbocho, and I don't remember what it would have cost. Nice, nice, nice. At some point now, this will be photographed and it'll go into our collection. This will be coming online soon to a website near you. Okay, there we have it. Okay, today's Monday. We've gone a little bit over time. Can't be helped. Thank you. Next stream here will be Thursday. It's possible. I don't know. It won't be finished. No, it won't be finished. But next time you see me, we should be down here somewhere on this tiger. It won't be finished in 3 more days, but I'm now spending lots more time than just stream time on this. So I'll see you again on Thursday. We'll have some more carving. We'll have another show and tell of something or other. Someone's talking about New Year cleaning. It's not. There's a fan here. This is warm weather. There's a morning glory. There's a fan. There's thin clothes. I was wrong. This is not New Year cleaning. That was my first thought. It's not New Year cleaning. It's a general airing out happening sometime in the rest. Okay, let's put up the outside again before we go. Here's Saksa, Monday morning. It's 9:41 Monday morning, the first day of the next lockdown. Getting ready for the Olympics. Oh, nice lady walking by. Did you see at the end of the last stream? That was so funny. That was so funny at the end of the last stream. Okay, guys, thanks very much. I'm signing off. I'll see you in 3 more days. Bye for now.